Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including the brand new, cheaper than ever Model Y in the US, new details for the Project Highland Model 3, the latest Cybertruck sightings extending all the way to Mexico, and more, so let's get into it. And a special thanks to Henson Shaving for sponsoring a portion of this video. First up today, over in Australia, as we're seeing in many markets, the Model Y is getting extremely popular. It has become the third overall best-selling vehicle of any kind and the #1 SUV. In September, the best-selling car in Australia was the Toyota Hilux with 5,776 sales. In second was the Ford Ranger at 5,429, and third was the Model Y at 3,811. It's creeping up in these rankings and could continue. When considering just EVs, Tesla leads by a lot. The Model Y had 3,811, Model 3 had 1,366, and next was the BYD Atto 3 with 702 sales. So just like other markets, when considering EVs, Tesla is selling more than most of their competitors combined. It's always impressive to see this growth continue and see the Model Y dominating pretty much wherever Tesla seems to launch it. On that front, Tesla is reportedly considering building a new EV factory in Thailand, according to their prime minister. He met with Elon Musk last week, along with several other tech executives. Afterwards, he told reporters that he expects Tesla, as well as Microsoft and Google, to invest $5 billion in the country. He said, quote, Tesla would be looking into an EV manufacturing facility. Microsoft and Google are looking at data centers. Tesla only started delivering vehicles in Thailand this year, and now it sounds like they're thinking about changing their strategy in that country. Thailand already has a thriving auto manufacturing industry, producing upwards of 2 million vehicles locally per year. If Tesla is going to reach their goal of producing 20 million vehicles per year by 2030, they will need to open several new factories on top of their Nuevo Leon project. Especially with that factory in Mexico taking much longer to construct than expected, it makes sense that Tesla is also looking into new locations. They're still yet to break ground in Mexico, awaiting the proper permitting, so that could lead to a hastier selection of their next factory location. Of course, these are just talks for now, so we'll have to wait for more conclusive evidence before we'll know where their next factory will be for sure. Next up today, Tesla has made a huge change in the US for the Model Y. When Tesla first announced this car, they unveiled 4 different configurations. First was standard range at $39,000, second was long range at $47,000, third was dual motor all-wheel drive at $51,000, and fourth was performance at $60,000. As we see, the specs on mileage increased a lot from these initial predictions, with that dual motor all-wheel drive touting 50 more miles of EPA range today. In the real world, 280 is actually a pretty reasonable figure, but for the longest time, Tesla only shipped the top 2 configurations. They briefly sold a standard range one, but said it didn't meet Tesla's standard of excellence, with a 244-mile range, so they removed it. Then out of Giga Texas, they sold an all-wheel drive standard range Model Y with their new 4680 battery cells. This car was decent, providing a 279-mile range, 5-second 0 to 60, and all-wheel drive, but I never found the price difference really to be worth it, since it launched at $50,000 and ended up only a couple $1,000s less than the long-range dual motor. In any case, a couple weeks ago, this configuration disappeared entirely, and now we know why. First, it seems Tesla is reallocating the 4680 batteries they make in-house from this car to the Cybertruck as production ramps. Then they reintroduced the standard range rear-wheel drive Model Y. They silently updated their US website to add what could be their most affordable Model Y ever with a base price of $43,990. It gets a 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds and a top speed of 135 miles per hour. Interestingly, this is notably slower than the past, and slower than the recently slightly refreshed Model Y out of China. There, it's a 5.9 second 0 to 60. In any case, after the $7,500 tax credit, which it still qualifies for, this car has an impressive starting price of $36,490. For many, this immediately makes this car a no-brainer, especially since it's paired with Tesla's vast and growing Supercharger network. For daily driving, a 260-mile EPA range is plenty, and then you're covered reliably on a road trip. That's something competitors cannot say. This all comes after they suddenly removed the all-wheel drive Model Y last month, as I mentioned, but that one started at $47,740. It looks like that model is being replaced with this even more affordable option. In addition to one fewer motor, this new model seems to have a cheaper LFP battery using the same cells as the rear-wheel drive Model 3 as far as we can tell. That would explain the 19-mile range increase. What's different here though, and worth noting when comparing to the previous 4680 Model Y, is that it's recommended you charge LFP battery packs to 100%, as opposed to 80 to 90% max with nickel-based cells. That means that each day you'll have access to 100% of the battery capacity of 260 miles EPA, and it's best for the battery. With the previous 279-mile Model Y, your daily range when charging using best practices was actually around 223 to 251 miles. So this somewhat gives you more range when considering that. This battery will do slightly worse in colder climates though. It also has a new 0 to 60 in 6.6 seconds, which is 1.6 seconds slower than the all-wheel drive it's replacing. On top of that, it has a peak charging rate of 170 kilowatts, and you can't get the 7-seat configuration in this trim. As pointed out by Electrek, this new model has a lot of similarities to the standard range Model Y that's been available in China since 2021 and in Canada since earlier this year. Despite it being slightly less powerful, many will appreciate that Tesla is working to get the Model Y more affordable than ever. Even if it does stick around, we might see it lose access to the federal tax credit by the end of the year due to stricter battery requirements. Although Tesla does not note this on their website yet. They warn of this for the Model 3, and we assume it's for the rear-wheel drive model, since that LFP pack comes from China, but they don't mention it for the Model Y, at least not yet. For those reasons, if you're in the market for a new Model Y, now might be the time to buy if you like the features delivered today. It seems the Juniper refresh will be quite a ways off, as the Highland Model 3 still has yet to enter the US market. For comparison here, the 2023 VW ID4 starts around $39,000 and only has a 209-mile range for that price. The 2024 Mustang Mach-E starts around $43,000 with a 250-mile range. Then the 2024 Hyundai Ioniq 5 starts around $41,500 with only a 220-mile range. These are the main competitors for the Model Y, and some do not qualify for a tax credit at all, so this new model should do pretty well. It's worth checking on all incentives as well, because in certain markets like Colorado, you could obtain this car for as low as $23,000. $23,000. Considering everything this car offers, that's an absolutely incredible deal. Overall, this is great news for anyone looking for an affordable EV. This car has a great range for the price, especially when paired with Tesla's Supercharger network, and I wouldn't be surprised if Tesla sees a sales spike pretty soon as a result of this new base Model Y being introduced. Long term, I'd love to see the price decrease down to where it was originally announced prior to tax credits at $39,000, and would love to see charging speeds increase a bit, but that all comes in time as Tesla scales. Before we go any further, I'd like to thank today's sponsor, Henson Shaving. Henson Shaving started selling razors in 2020 after their family-run aerospace machine shop needed to pivot to making its own product. The result has been a fantastic one, the Henson AL13. It's made using CNC machines to aerospace standards, which means incredibly tight tolerances and incredible blade support. That results in a smoother, safer shave from a razor that is completely free of any plastic. With most disposable razors, the blades actually aren't supported enough, which is a leading cause of cuts and irritation. The AL13 solves that issue by only exposing the blade by less than the width of a human hair, so it's actually much safer than a plastic disposable razor. I've been using it for a while now, it's simple to use, and I don't have irritation or ingrown hairs from it. The great thing as well is that it works with standard double-edged blades, allowing you to shave for cheaper, all while keeping the same razor for a lifetime. Over 2 billion disposable razors end up in landfills in the US alone each year, and this razor eliminates that while providing a better shave for less. Here's a chart of the cost of ownership over 2 years. It looks an awful lot like the chart of gasoline savings over the lifetime of a Tesla. To try out the Henson shaving razor for yourself, click the link in the description below and use my code to get 100 free blades with the purchase of a razor. That's about 3 to 5 years worth of shaving. It's a truly incredible product that's better for the environment, your skin, and your wallet, so check it out. Next up today, the latest Cybertruck roundup. In a new leaked video, we got a closer look at the interior of the Cybertruck and its unique UI. This video, which has since been made private by the original poster, seems to have been taken without the owner's permission. The man speaks in Russian and jokes that a backpack in the front seat must belong to Elon Musk. We absolutely don't condone obtaining new information illegally, but we did learn a few things and it's posted everywhere at this point. Right off the bat, we can see there still isn't a bird's eye camera view available from the cameras. Further, apps appear on the left side of the display. Status bar icons icons such as time and temperature are now above the vehicle visualization. The navigation search icon appears to be smaller, and there now seems to be a gradient between the visualizations and map. The whole system has been designed around the Cybertruck's design language, which is definitely cool to see. Beyond the UI, several other features have been redesigned as well, including some octagonal Cyber cup holders and a two-stage sun visor, similar to what is on the Model X. On screen, we can see this truck is parked outside of Columbus, Ohio, which could support the theory that Tesla is shipping it to a bunch of locations ahead of its delivery event in order to release it spontaneously all across the country. Reportedly, this truck was spotted in Florida 2 days later, though, so it might just be undergoing some form of testing still. Another model was spotted at a Tesla showroom on Merritt Island in Florida. This one is sporting Pirelli Scorpion tires and is carrying more tires in the bed. We can't quite tell from this angle, but it looks like there could be 8 back there. My guess is that Tesla is testing out different kinds of tires to find any potential issues before this truck is launched. It's probably late enough in the game that they already know which ones are going to ship with this truck though. Then another one was spotted with a graffiti wrap in Ensenada, Mexico, about 80 miles away from the US-Mexico border. This one has a roof rack with 2 crossbars, one above the B-pillar and one at the end of the rear door. Though we don't get to see it in action, there appears to be a Starlink antenna right next to it. In front of the rack is what appears to be a light bar. This light bar was introduced with the Cybertruck back in 2019, but we haven't seen it on any prototypes since then. Now it looks like it may be offered as an accessory. In a separate sighting, that antenna was spotted again in Mexico. It's possible that with limited reception in Mexico, they needed to use Starlink to send data back to HQ while that truck was test driving. It does lead me to wonder though if Tesla would ever offer this antenna as an accessory. That could prove useful for future owners that plan to take this truck to rural areas that might also not have great reception. Last year, Elon said Tesla's vehicles would be connected to Starlink in order to make emergency calls in dead zones. He said that would happen this year, but it's unclear if this is going to be a feature on the Cybertruck or not. That could be something Tesla can add within a software update when the shift is implemented. On the topic of Starlink, a Cybertruck was spotted at their starbase in Boca Chica, Texas. It was spotted and shared by several people, and some fans are wondering if this is Elon Musk driving his own Cybertruck. That probably isn't the case though, as it reportedly was having an official photo shoot at the site. S.E. Robinson Jr. says the truck was following 2 white vans that were carrying photographers and possibly even a film crew. The Cybertruck was also spotted towing a SpaceX rocket engine, so it seems that they truly are prepping this content in major ways. Hopefully that means Tesla will be releasing a new video of this truck soon, though they may be making content for its delivery event later this month, or at least very soon. Next up today, Tesla has released a few videos breaking down the changes they made to the new Model 3 over in Shanghai. The first is a breakdown with Lars Moravy, VP of Vehicle Engineering at Tesla. He starts by saying, quote, "It's not very often you get a second chance to define a segment, and to do it all over again makes this car the best Model 3. He details the way Tesla added double-paned glass to all windows in order to make it feel like you're the only car on the road, and how they've implemented a new shock absorption technology called frequency selective dampening. This improves the ride without sacrificing handling. As detailed by Not a Tesla app, the way this works is that, quote, high-frequency movements, typically caused by road irregularities, are dampened less, improving ride comfort, while low-frequency movements, associated with aggressive driving and cornering, are dampened more, ensuring optimal handling. This should prove as a game changer since it gets rid of limitations with traditional shock absorbers." He finished by saying, quote, "It's super exciting that the Tesla engineering team from China gets to introduce itself to the world with the brand new Model 3 that they developed mostly in China. It's very interesting to see that Tesla mostly developed this new car in China. We've seen hints of Tesla doing this long term, but this came much faster than expected, and that likely has a big impact on the delays of this car coming from a US factory." He mentions that it's the best Model 3 a couple times. On the software side, Tesla released a new video with their VP of Vehicle Software talking about the development of the new Model 3. He is at their Shanghai R&D center with the new Model 3, notes the new design elements, and then dives into the interior, specifically noting that the quieter cabin, with upgraded tailored sound system, new display, and RGB lights, shines at night. Quote, "It's impossible for me to describe how awesome it is, you just have to experience it to know what I'm talking about." For the rear display, it supports all the entertainment of the front row, adjusts climate, allows you to move the front seat, and more, as we know, but he finishes that video to say that, quote, "All of this is just the beginning." It's cool to see Tesla detailing this car more and more, and I'm excited to see first deliveries this month. We still expect to be waiting until around 2024 for the new Model 3 to come to the United States, though. Next up today, Tesla has officially begun construction on their themed Supercharger in Hollywood. This is the station they teased back in 2021 that's a 1950s-style diner and drive-in theater. The 28-stall station will have a 2-story restaurant with a snack bar that can seat 218 patrons. From the second-floor seating area, customers will be able to view movie clips on 2 45-foot-tall LED movie screens from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m. The diner and chargers will be open 24/7. This location is at 7001 Santa Monica Boulevard in West Hollywood, and the last we had heard about this progress was that Tesla finally had their building permit approved by the city of Los Angeles. That was a little over a month ago. Now photos have been shared on the construction progress. Through the chain link fence, we can see that they have not only broken ground, but have started to lay foundation. Pretty soon we'll likely start seeing superchargers getting installed and pavement being laid. We may see this charger open as soon as this year, now that Tesla has everything they need to build it. This should be a very cool attraction for Tesla owners passing through the area, and I can't wait to visit it, although 28 chargers does seem a bit small for such a big attraction. Last up today, some updates from Rivian. Rivian is scaling up in big ways, and this chart does a great job of showing Tesla's lead. But if you look closely, it shows just how much Rivian is moving up these rankings and taking on legacy automakers when it comes to EVs. They are in 5th place for the first 6 months of 2023, beating out legacy names like BMW, Mercedes, Kia, VW, and more. Many see Rivian as being in a bad spot since they are so far in debt and have a long way to go towards profitability, but most legacy automakers are in their exact situation when it comes to EVs specifically. They just have their gasoline vehicle business to distract people. In any case, Rivian this week announced delivery numbers for Q3. They produced 16,304 vehicles and delivered 15,564 of them, adding, quote, "These results reflect our ongoing focus to increase R1 deliveries to customers across the US and Canada and remain on track with our 52,000 unit annual production guidance." Rivian's CEO RJ Scaringe was recently interviewed about their Q3 results and said, quote, "Demand for our products is very strong. What we're going to see as we go forward is a very clear staircase or set of steps that get us to profitability as a business." At the same time, they're starting deliveries of their dual motor powertrain, readily available on the R1T through their R1 shop, as well as max pack deliveries. This is their more expensive, larger battery that provides an impressive 410-mile range on the R1T and 400-mile range on the R1S. I think this pack is expensive at $10,000 more for a 50-mile range bump, but it may be particularly useful for those towing. One competitor coming soon for Rivian, though, is the Cybertruck, and when asked about it, this is what RJ had to say. Quote, "If you were to think of like the Venn diagrams of customers, there's probably not a lot of overlap. But I think it's great that a product like that exists in the world." He went on to explain that in order to electrify the around 1.5 billion cars globally, there needs to be multiple great options. I agree here completely, and some sales will be taken from each other for each other, but overall, they are both great products. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see the refresh Tesla just did for the Model Y over in China, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.